In 10 years, electric cars will only be half the global market. September 19, 2025. New mobility lens forecaster research from EY suggests that a decade from now, battery electric vehicles will represent just 50% of the sales in Europe, China, and the US despite major pushes from automakers and governments. The analysis comes on the heels of announced changes to carmaker portfolio strategies and government realignment of timelines for zero-emissions milestones, and as customers push back against regulations by preferring to purchase models with a tailpipe. EY's Mobility Lens Forecaster is an artificial intelligence-enabled forecasting model that leverages other technologies to predict the electric vehicle transition in key markets. Policy changes, customer adoption, technology developments, infrastructure evolution and tipping points are considered for light vehicles, including cars, motorcycles, scooters, light-duty trucks and SUVs. For types of powertrains are considered in the forecaster's scenario: battery electric, plug-in hybrid electric, internal combustion engine (ICE), and hybrid. Some countries have been more successful with multiple powertrain strategies than others. Those success stories are largely centered on complying with the market regulations meeting to the intersection of consumer demand and automaker portfolio. China wins with a multi-powertrain strategy. EY expects China to have over 50% of new vehicle sales of battery electric vehicles, BEVs, by 2033. And more than 81% of the market by 2044. EY calls full BEV adoption in China elusive before 2050. In the country, its extended-range electric vehicles, EREVs, those that use a battery electric system to power the wheels but an engine to charge the battery, that will be leading the way, and part of EY's plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, PHEV, equation with 40% market share, peaking in 2031. But dipping to above 30% through 2037. Electric vehicle adoption in China is growing due to a competitive pricing strategy, with EY expecting the cost of EVs to dip below that of ICE vehicles for the first time in 2025 despite the sunsetting of subsidies. Tax breaks are expected to help sustain demand. Further out, EY is predicting that EREV market share will be around 20% by 2043. Hybrids will win for a while in Europe. EY cites policy targets and affordabilities as the means to keep the adoption of BEVs strong. By 2032, BEVs will account for over 50% of vehicle sales, the company predicts, but it will strengthen at a 95% market share by 2041. Meanwhile, hybrids are expected to hold on to at least 20% market share until 2033, peaking in 2033 with 41% of new vehicle sales. The import of hybrids and EREVs from China will help strengthen the European adoption rate, the company predicts. Softening emission penalties and policy target changes are also expected to drive a rebound in demand for EVs. Affordable EVs will also help. However, EY cautions, regional disparities and infrastructure gaps remain. America's EV efforts hampered by tariffs, incentive reduction. With the impact of the Big, Beautiful Bill being felt nationwide, the US's 50% new EV purchase rate has been pushed back 5 years, predicts EY. Over the past decade, the pace and trajectory of EV adoption in the United States have shifted dramatically. 10 years ago, the idea of mainstream EVs was still in its infancy, driven mostly by early adopters and tech enthusiasts. Today, our latest EY Mobility Lens forecaster shows that while the US is making steady progress, the timeline for reaching 50% BEV sales has slipped to 2039, 5 years later than we previously projected and 6 years behind China. George Lenyo, EY America's automotive leader, told Newsweek. Lenyo listed several factors for this policy uncertainty, expiring incentives, new tariffs and ongoing affordability challenges. But he explained that hybrids are surging as a practical bridge for consumers. ICE vehicle sales are gradually slowing in favor of hybrids and BEVs, but it will still account for half of US light vehicle sales, well into the 2030s, he shared. BEVs are expected to reach 32% market penetration by 2035. By Newsweek, story by Eileen Falkenberg-Hull, September 18, 2025.